In Ukraine, we worked with the government to rapidly deploy air raid alerts. To date, we have delivered hundreds of millions of alerts. In March, I was in Poland, where millions of Ukrainians have sought refuge. Warsaw's population has increased by nearly 20% as families host refugees in their homes, and schools welcome thousands of new students. Nearly every Google employee I spoke with was hosting someone. In countries around the world, Google Translate has been a crucial tool for newcomers and residents trying to communicate with one another. We are proud of how it's helping Ukrainians find a bit of hope and connection until they are able to return home again.
After having had the honor to introduce an extraordinary statesman in the political realm, I will now have the opportunity to introduce a great business statesman, Sundar Pichai. Many in the audience may know my special definition of leadership. Leadership comprises 5 dimensions: brain, soul, heart, muscles, and good nerves. And you, Sundar, are certainly one of the very few who excels in all of those five dimensions. Brain stands for professionalism, soul for mission and values, heart for passion and compassion, muscles for the capability to translate objectives into action. And finally, in the world of today, we all need good nerves to deal with its uncertainty and complexity. As far as brains is concerned, Sundar, your credentials on the professional level are certainly extraordinary. Growing up in Chennai and after your studies in India, you went on to receive a master's degree from Stanford University and an MBA from Wharton School. You joined Google as an employee in 2004 and became the CEO of Google in a little over 10 years, in 2015, and soon afterwards the CEO of Alphabet. I think this trajectory speaks for itself. And now, to your soul, or in other words, your compass, your vision, which has been at the core of the success of your company, making Alphabet one of the most valuable and successful companies in the world, and to be always at the forefront of technological progress and being a key enabler of digital transformation. As far as muscles are concerned, you have continuously achieved the ambitious objectives which you have set out. And you did so with good nerves, always remaining a low-key and modest person and serving as a conductor of a great team. But what really makes you a business statesman is your heart, your passion, and your compassion. And it has touched so many people around the world, inside and outside of your company. In response to the shock of Russia's brutal aggression against Ukraine, you immediately came to the help of the Ukrainian people, and you were personally involved. You helped to raise $50 million in donations, as well as provide practical help in the form of thousands of Chromebooks and learning platforms directly to Ukrainian high school students. You also continue to combat mis- and disinformation campaigns, which directly impacts the plight of the Ukrainian people. You were one of the first companies to apply the sanctions regime against Russia, while at the same time keeping Google Research Services open to allow Russians to remain in touch with global perspectives. Your engagement in Ukraine is just one demonstration of true corporate global citizenship, having the courage to speak out and act when fundamental values are violated and humanitarian engagement is needed. It gives me the great pleasure to hand over to you, Sundar Pichai, this Global Award, Citizen Award, as a shining example of how business can truly serve as a force for good.
Thank you, Klaus, for the generous introduction and for your steadfast leadership of the World Economic Forum. I know our collective thoughts tonight are with the United Kingdom and all the people around the world mourning the passing of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. Her legacy of public service continues to be an inspiration to many of us. I also want to say a sincere thanks to Fred Kemp and the Atlantic Council for the important work you do to shape our global future. And of course, thank you for bringing us together tonight. We needed it after the pandemic. I'm truly humbled to receive this award. It's even more meaningful to receive it alongside such an accomplished group of honorees. Congratulations to all of you. Above all, tonight we are here to honor another group that deserves our focus: the people of Ukraine, who continue to face unspeakable hardship, and those working tirelessly to help them. People like Dmitry, an entrepreneur I met based in Kyiv. In 2021, Dmitry founded a startup to provide online mental health services. When the war began, he committed to offer mental health care to all Ukrainians, especially those who can't afford to pay for it. He's now reinvesting 100% of his profit towards that goal. Or people like Tomek, a Polish journalist who shares his passion for science through YouTube. Seeing the disruption the war was causing to kids' education, he worked with a teacher and interpreter to launch a new Ukrainian language science channel. It has meant that children forced to leave Ukraine could use YouTube to keep learning in Poland. I'm also thinking of 10-year-old Yana, who left Ukraine with her family and enrolled in school in Poland. With the help of Google Translate, she has made a new best friend despite the language barrier. Yana and her family are among the 7 million refugees from Ukraine in Europe today. The need is unprecedented, and so is the response. When I was in Warsaw last spring, I was struck by how many Google employees were hosting multiple families in their homes. That was typical in the region, and the generosity continues today. In the US, I'm inspired by the effort to welcome Ukrainian and Afghan newcomers. Again, it's led by everyday people who are stepping up to help. The private sector can scale these efforts and fill gaps with technical expertise, resourcing, and innovation. Google has long supported immigrants, dreamers, and refugees. Since 2015, Google has provided more than $45 million in grants and 30,000 hours of our employees' time to help refugees. We have also directly supported refugees and newcomers through our products. This is a cause that's embedded in Google's DNA, and it's one I care deeply about. More than 20 years ago, I immigrated to the US. When I arrived, I was met with open-mindedness, tolerance, and acceptance, all of which helped ease my path. Looking back on that period of my life, what I remember most are the people who made me feel welcome. Because of them, I started to feel as much a part of this country as I did growing up in India. It was my choice to come to the US. For refugees, it's often not a choice at all. That's why we need to work even harder to make sure they feel supported on their journey. The opportunity to help more people feel welcome is why I agreed to co-chair the CEO Council for Welcome.us. It's a nonprofit focused on welcoming Afghan and Ukrainian newcomers to the US. And the council is a broad base of businesses like Accenture, Amazon, Manpower Group, Pfizer, and more. Nazanin Ash, the CEO of Welcome.us, is with us tonight. We are focused on helping refugees with initial resettlement, matching people with jobs, and raising awareness via our megaphone as business leaders. The goal is to create solutions that can be repeated and scaled. It's especially important at a time when there are more than 100 million people displaced from their homes, a number that will only grow as the threats of climate change, food security, and economic uncertainty increase. As we build a global response, we have a responsibility to ensure people everywhere can benefit from the opportunities technology creates, be it creating the infrastructure that widens access, advancing technologies that can enable progress, or making sure the internet remains free, open, and safe for everyone. Across all of this work, it's important that we are actively addressing the challenges of disinformation, cyber attacks, and other harms. Equally, we must also remain optimistic about the power of technology to improve lives. I'm excited about the partnerships we have formed to do that across business, government, and civil society. And with the leadership of institutions like the Atlantic Council, those will create in the future. Look forward to working with you all to expand opportunities and help people feel welcome wherever they are. Thank you.